Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us again. This is our next BNG AI in practice series. This session is on creating planning scenarios with my colleague Sam. He's going to take us forward shortly.
Hi everyone. Yes, Sam Kendre. I'm a principal ecology solutions consultant here at AI Dash. So I've been here just over 2 years, and for most of that time, being kind of working live field sites from start to finish, doing the surveys and using the product, testing it live, and now work more directly with the product team to kind of develop new features and test those, and work alongside clients to understand their demands. And my background's ecology consultancy. So today we're going to be looking at creating planning scenarios using the BNGAI platform. So I will share screen and start talking through those. Logged into the platform here, and then I've gone to my planning tab on the site. So from here, you can choose to create a new plan. And if you do that, you've got two options. So if I was to upload a file, that could be kind of CAD plan of my development or a shapefile plan. And that will then be overlaid onto my baseline and that kind of calculation run for me. And then from there, you could run scenarios as that with that as your base. For this call, I'm just going to do a simple start a new plan with a baseline plan. I usually start with the day's date just to keep a track of where I'm at. Just call it test one. So if I create a plan, so you'll see it loads the baseline. So for this site, this is just the prelim baseline, so no field surveys been done. And the conditions on here will all be the kind of average condition that we use in our prelim. So you've got your balance of units here. Obviously, nothing has happened yet, so we're at 0%. So if I was to, let's say, click this piece of grassland here, and if I wanted to maybe enhance that, I'd create target, select grassland, modify grassland, and then I'll go to good condition, stick with low strategic significance. If I click apply, you'll see you kind of get a live change of how your percentage has shifted. Other edits you can do to that. So because it's the same category, it's assumed it's an enhancement. But if you know that maybe that area is going to be destroyed for a few years, you might want to call it a creation, and then the relevant multiplier comes into effect. So you can do that here in the bottom right. And then the other multiplier you can edit if needed is the kind of creation start year, and the relevant multipliers shift for that as well. So other features you've got, so you could, on a created habitat, let's say it's this grassland, if I wanted to, I could split that into two. So if I click across and right click, if I click save, refresh the page, it just needs to refresh that last update. But if I do that again, click save, you'll see that there's now two polygons, and I can edit those as required. So other functionality you've got is you can edit the kind of vertices. So let's say I've created this, but actually I need to tweak it slightly. If I use this pencil icon up here, you'll see all the vertices become visible, and you can click and drag these around, add additional ones. And then for accuracy, you've also got snap function. So if I click this magnet, I think anyone who uses GIS is probably familiar with this kind of function. But if I click next, you'll now see that when I drag, it drags to the nearest sort of existing vertice, and obviously makes it a much neater process, no gaps. If you do have a point that doesn't want to follow snapping, but rather than clicking in and out, so at the moment that's jumping. If I hold the option key or I think it's insert on Microsoft, then you can drag freely across the screen. Cancel that one for now. So other things you can do, if I cross this habitat, you can create a whole new polygon. So that's up here. So you've got your creating lines, so your hedgerows and watercourses, polygons, and then points for your trees. If I demonstrate a polygon, you can sort of draw it however you like. I'm going to turn off snapping and just imagine that there's some sort of development going over a number of habitats here. Create that by right clicking and save. Just give that a second. And then that's loaded. So then from here, same thing again, you can create a habitat. So go other neutral. And then this is underneath this is doing all the maths of sort of reducing all the areas beneath and all the relevant habitats beneath it. So you can also, if I'd made this and I wanted to move it, again, it's this pencil icon. And rather than edit the vertice this time, I could just shift it across the screen slightly, click save, and that will shift. Other functions you've got, I mentioned, so you've got the kind of shift in view. So at the moment, this is showing all of the habitats on the screen. So your planned, your baseline habitats. If you wanted to sort of filter these views, you can go back to just seeing the baseline or the change view, which just shows your created habitats or enhanced habitats. And then you've got your toggles here for sort of filtering on and off. If you wanted to kind of see the base map or just check what's going on, you can filter through those. And then so from here, you've got the functionality to, you can delete created habitats. So if it's created habitat, you'll see this bin icon. And if I just click refresh the page and click that again, you'll see that that one's now gone. So this is back to being a baseline and that remains created. So then one of the sort of key functions of this is really being able to do scenarios. So if that was, let's say that was my worst case scenario, I now want to sort of push it a next level further, then I could just click this copy plan here, give that a second, and then that's created a duplicate of that plan. And you can rename plans in the top corner here at any time. So I could call this test 2, more generous, BNG. Ignore my spelling. And then you can run different scenarios based on that. And you can run as many as you like. You can see there's 100 old ones in here. And at any point, you can also export your metric tool. So if I export one of those, give that a minute on the overview tab, just give that a second. There should be a metric. So if you download a metric, it will load with the post-development kind of IDs populated for you. So if I go into creation, you can see if I drag across, you've got your ID and then the headline results are updated accordingly. If you need a figure to go with your plan, you can also approve it. So if you click next and approve, you'll then get a PDF figure of pre-intervention and post-intervention alongside the completed metric. So that's kind of a quick pre-writing a full report that gives you a quick summary you can share with either an LPA or with a habitat bank as required. I would recommend that when you download the metric tool that you just double check your trading rules. So the trading rules at the moment still require that manual check in the metric. And obviously if you see something's off, you can quickly come back in and amend the plan on here and then re-download the metric. We do also have a QGIS plugin, which we have a version of, but it's just being updated at the moment. So we hopefully will do a webinar on that soon. And that will allow you to kind of use your native QGIS windows and do all of this sort of work and mass condition changes, mass edits, and just click sync and it will update the platform for you. So there'll be a poll at the end of this as well if anyone's interested in being a tester for that and kind of having a look at what that can do. That's definitely an option. And I think that is the main gist of my run through of planning. So I think I'll go to questions and go from there.
Great, thank you, Sam. We don't actually have any questions just yet. Maybe we can give it a moment to see if anyone has thought of any. Um, Maybe one you might want to go over is how many plans can
Mhm.
you actually do? You saw there was like 111 in that
Yeah.
one the example. Is it kind of almost limitless?
Yeah, so it's limitless. I mean, I'd hope no one has to make 100 for any real site. But yeah, there's no limit on the number of plans. And similarly, if your CAD plan changes or you've got kind of a few different options that you're running, There's a small charge for those, but there's no limit in theory of how many you could upload. And then from each of those, you can run scenarios that are attached to that plan. The other thing to note is, so for that example, there hadn't been a field survey. So if you then later went and did the field survey, it would auto update all of those kind of conditions and any habitat changes in the baseline so that your scenario is still relevant to what's being found on site.
Brilliant. That was going to be another question I thought people might be interested in. So if people already have a plan, is that easy to add, and how do people do that?
Yeah, yeah. So to add a plan, it was that first step. I can share screen again and just show it. Can you see my screen? No,
Not yet.
that didn't share. There we go. So that's just back at this step here. So under the planning tab, when you click create new plan, you've got your two options here. So if you've got a file with an existing plan that you want to upload, this is the option here. Give it a name. There'll be a fee if you haven't already kind of upgraded to that tier. It will tell you the sort of cost. And then that will be uploaded. Generally, it's CAD plans or shape files. If it's a PDF, there'll be kind of a bespoke fee for that, but it is possible. Obviously, CAD and shapefile are a lot more accurate, so preferred from our perspective.
Brilliant. And is there anything else you'd like to add? Like, have you used this planning feature yourself, and what do you like most about how the platform allows you to do that?
Yeah, yeah. So the last couple of years, I've been using this for live clients, and for me, it's one of the big features for me is just having that auto-populated metric. Like, kind of when you're doing scenarios, having to change kind of the created area or the retained area for every single habitat, and then run that through all the tabs, and then make sure there's no kind of bugs in area or trading rule issues. It just saves a lot of time with my head stuck in Excel. Um, and similarly, GIS, it saves me sitting on GIS, kind of resaving all the layers and doing all that data management. It's there visually on the screen as well. So if a client wants a kind of workshop to talk through some ideas, it's very easy to just share that screen and sort of talk through live changes and get an idea of the sort of impact that they could have and whether it's realistic, rather than back and forth of emails or having to sit in an office together. We can do it very quickly over Teams, kind of
Brilliant.
come up with a rough plan, and then I can go away and finalize it. Um, and obviously it ties back into the webinar Geordie did as well. So we sort of, once you've approved the plan and agreed on it, there's then the full reporting functionality to kind of help write the report relating to that final plan. So it all kind of ties together nicely.
Brilliant. We do have a couple more questions now in the chat. We've got one here. You mentioned running multiple scenarios off plans. How do you do that?
Yeah. So in this example, there isn't a CAD plan, but if you imagine where it says standalone BNG plan here, if I had, let's say, CAD plan one, there would be another gray box like this above, and I could choose to then create a plan associated with sort of this equivalent plan or CAD plan one, and then the scenarios for each would be listed underneath. And you can either start afresh, just purely off that plan, or as I said earlier, if you've kind of done one plan where it's the worst case scenario and now you want to push it a little bit further, you'd use this copy function here. And then you've got that as your starting point, and that's where you can just start to increase gradually the sort of the ambition of the plan.
Brilliant. Um, got another one here. Can you show an example of a post-development import on a plan? That could be
Uh,
helpful to see what it looks
yeah,
like. Is that
big one.
possible?
So this is a dummy site because of obviously client data, but this site here, so the baseline is just basically some fields, farmhouse, and some hedgerows. Not the most exciting, but the gist of the plan. So a kind of a dummy development plan to go over this. So we've got sort of a housing development. This one has been merged, but it can be much more complex. Like, it can have every single house, every garden, like the functionalities in our process that it will group all of the habitats when they go into the metric. So you're still going to be within the, I think it's 250 rows of the metric. So there can be sort of all the fine detail of every sort of parcel of garden, yeah, house, road, whatever that development is, can be overlaid onto that plan and then exported. Yeah, not the most exciting example, but I can't share live client stuff, unfortunately.
Of course. We do have another one here. It might be similar to what you've shown, but possibly there's a bit of nuance here. So, when scenario planning, how do you accurately draw a new habitat type slash enhancement? Is there a measurement tool which shows you the GPS coordinates or the hectareage of the parcel you've drawn?
No, I mean, that's definitely a useful idea, and it is on our kind of roadmap. I don't have a timeline for that at the moment, but that is something we would like to add. At the moment, it is a case of drawing it on the plan. That sort of as I showed, you can use snapping, which at least means you're going to be accurate to the edge. So if I was, let's say it was a polygon, if I click on the snap tool, then I know that at least I am following the existing boundaries. Um, but in terms of knowing what size that is at the moment, you'd have to, on the platform at least, you'd have to kind of create it and then back out of here and download the metric, and that would tell you it. I guess the other workaround at the moment would be the QGIS plugin, because on that you've got all of your native sort of QGIS functions, so you can very quickly calculate the area of all your polygons. Um, but noted as feedback, I think.
Thank you. Just one more. Can can you import a plan that has been submitted to an LPA?
Um, I mean, I don't see why not, as long as I think the client can upload whatever plan they have access to, really. So I think, unless I've misunderstood the question, I think that comes down to what file the client has available to upload. Um, so yeah, if they've got the CAD or the shapefile, there's no reason it couldn't be uploaded.
Yes, thanks, Sam. That's great. We actually have just one more, if we've got that
Okay.
time, while people are filling that in. Um, when looking at the enhancement of one habitat parcel, the whole
Mhm.
site value is given rather than the specific parcel value. Why is that?
So I assume that refers to the sort of whole site value at the bottom of the screen with the
Yeah, I think
percentage
that's
bits.
from the example that you did earlier.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, again, that's a useful one to think about. I haven't had that one raised before, but at the moment, yeah, you can see on when you do make that change, you can see the unit shift underneath the percentage, but that is for the whole site. Um, I guess most clients are looking at the whole site, but I can understand you want to understand what that specific shift has done. So again, the workaround at the moment would just be to take note of the sort of percentage before you do that change and then the percentage after. But yeah, I definitely take the feedback that that could be a useful feature to have sort of per habitat. Again, the other workaround by using that number on the screen would be kind of downloading the metric and having a look at that. But it would be, yeah, it would be neat to have it on all in one place. So yeah, I'll take that to the product. Thanks for that.
Okay. I think that brings us to a nice close then. Thanks again for joining us.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you.